Okay, hi everyone. So this video, I'm going to talk to you about literature and how to use the response process to help you frame the way you teach it in class. So first of all, let's have a quick look at the response process. So as you know, in the PFEQ, so the Programme de Formation d'Éducation de Québec, there are three processes. We have the response process, the writing process, and the production process. Today we're going to talk about the response process. So as you can see here in this description, which is directly taken from the program, in the response process, the ESL students or ESL students construct the meaning of a text by interacting collaboratively with others. So for those of you that are familiar with things like think, pair, share, this is the kind of thing that we're doing in class. The students will read a text, watch a video, listen to a podcast, all of those things, think about it on their own, and then start to engage with others to sort of share and compare their ideas, feelings, and response. Okay, that makes sense, right? Let's have a little closer look at some of the areas here. So the first stage in the response process is exploring the text. And this is kind of your superficial level. So this is their first impressions. They reflect on the text, they write down what they notice or attracts them or interests them, sort of their initial responses. And then you get them into pairs or small groups and get them to compare their responses. As they write down in the program, and you'll see here, it's important to get the students to write an initial response before they share it with others. Mostly because this is the real truth. As a teacher, you want them to contribute to the group discussion afterwards. So if you don't get them to show what they've written, what they've understood by themselves first, you're not sure if they're contributing equally. So during that think phase, when they're by themselves, give them time to think, but ask them to show traces of what they've understood. That way, when they get to pairs, you can see that each person quite literally brings something to the table for the discussion. Okay, so once they've explored the text, the next step is to establish a personal connection. And this is the one I find that most students actually enjoy the most. So if you ask them sort of deeper questions like, why did the character stay inside the house without moving? They may not be able to answer. But if you ask them, well, what are some of the reasons you might not want to leave your house? Then they're able to answer because they're basing it on their own experiences. So this is a really interesting phase in the response process where you get them to put themselves in the place of the character, to sort of judge and figure and think about how they might respond or how they feel about the way that events are happening, or if they have any similar experiences that they want to share. So after they've explored and established a personal connection, the next thing is to generalize beyond the text. And this is where literature is really key because it really helps them to engage their critical thinking in this phase. They look at issues at a broader or more general level and really compare it to the world. I mean, here they've got the plight of a homeless teenager. But I've often found things like science fiction novels or dystopias and utopias work really well because they're engaging stories that get the students to think about how government functions or how power functions or how people are controlled by things like mass media. So these are, or if it's things like, what is the problem with the way that societies deal with homeless people? So these are sort of looking beyond the pages of the book and engaging it in a really deep and interesting and critical way. And again, if you do that right, they love it. All right, so just to sum up again, there are three phases in the response process, right? We explore, and that's where we do like think, pair, I'm going to call it compare. Think, pair, compare. And we look at sort of a comprehension of events and level and characters and things. After they've explored the text, we make a personal connection. So they connect the events or information in the text to their own experience, and you really start to engage their empathy. So they place themselves in the position of others. What would you do? How would you react? Are these similar to your own experiences? And once they've made that personal connection, we get them to generalize beyond. So they extend the discussion to universal problems experienced outside of the text, and talk about ways to maybe address some of these problems in society. Okay. So this seems all well, right? So how are we going to do this? What kind of questions do we need to ask? What kind of activities can we do? Well, this is where the good news happens. Believe it or not, the PFEQ actually has a fantastic page here that gives you prompts and guiding questions. So you can provide these directly for the students. If you're trying to say to yourself, well, I really wanted them to explore right now. Well, here's a whole list of questions you can ask them. What if you want them to establish a personal connection? Here you go. Generalize beyond, again, right here. I like to keep these up on my bulletin board when I'm writing out questions for a text, because it really helps me sort of remember to do all three of these phases and engage them on all different levels. And again, as a follow-up project, they've got another page, different ways to get you to engage in the response process. So thinking beyond just the sort of question and answers, there's things like response journals. These are literature circles or discussion circles, quick shares, open-ended questions, role play, improv, graphic organizers, collage, readers theater. This is a really small start. As I said in another video, you can have a look at 50 ways to 50 other ways, 50 alternatives to the book report, which is a great resource provided by Read, Write, Think. Okay, so as you see here, I've just created a quick table to show you the two modalities, the two ways that we can incorporate questions and activities into reading and exploring literature. So in the first way, as you go through reading a story, there are activities you can do before reading, while reading, and after reading. And as you go through before, while, and after, you can explore the text, you can make a personal connection to the text, and you can generalize beyond the text. So these two things function at the same time. For example, before reading, you can explore the text individually by looking at the title, the book cover, guessing the topic or genre. While reading, you can make a personal connection. So as you read, make a Venn diagram. Connect yourself to the character. What do you notice that you have in common and what's different? After you finish reading, you can debate issues from the text. You can do a project exploring connections to our world, or you can write a persuasive essay on a theme from the text. Now, I've only filled in 3 of these, but I could have filled in all 9 with different activities and examples, and I encourage you to do the same. Okay. So in another video, I gave you an example of the story Death by Scrabble, or Tile M for Murder. So right now we're going to just really quickly skim through the activities for the short story that are there, and you can see how the activities can integrate the response process. So that was the story. It's a short story about 2 people playing Scrabble, and one person dies at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert. So if you look here, there's a section called Before You Read, reading the following rules of the game. And this is activating prior knowledge, and it's exploring the text. Okay. While you read, again, make the connection between the game words and events. So again, it's exploring the text on a kind of superficial, not a superficial level, but yeah, looking at the plot, just seeing how the words are linked to the plot. So it's exploring the text phase. After you read, there's more explore the text questions. Honestly, as a teacher, I wouldn't ask the students to answer all of these. What I would ask them to do is pick 5. In step 2, they answer personal connections with the text and reflect and go beyond. And then at the end, I would have them do generalize beyond the story. And I think there is a section there. Damn it, I didn't put it up. Okay, you get the drift. So the idea for this is, as you structure your daily lesson plans, so you're going to create a long-term plan with literature, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. But as you decide what to do each day, and you're thinking about the activities to do and the questions to ask, just a reminder to use the response process to help you and help your students engage thinking at different levels. So yes, at a superficial level, but also to go more towards a deeper critical thinking. Use before, while, and after reading activities. as a way of structuring your lessons. So as a way to activate prior knowledge about things like Scrabble and the situation and the context, vocabulary. As they're going through and after, they can build understanding by making personal connections, by engaging with the text, by moving beyond. And you can check understanding by checking in as they explore the text, check in as they make personal connections, and check in as they generalize beyond. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching this one.